All right, Jeff, what you got?
Yeah, Welsh writes in the introduction, Jason is the well-known hero who retrieves the fleece from Colchis and brings it back to Greece. He fits securely in the roster of Greek mythic heroes, journeying like Odysseus, rescuing artifacts like Heracles, and courting a maiden like Theseus. Now, this is interesting.
Okay.
However, she writes, Apollonius makes it difficult for his readers to assess him by that yardstick.
Welcome to the Ad Nauseam podcast, where classical gourmands everywhere can finally get their fill. Join us for a delectable discussion of Greco-Roman civilization stretching from the Minoans and Mycenaeans through the Renaissance and right down to the present. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here are your hosts, Dr. David Noe and Dr. Jeff Winkle.
Welcome, listeners, to the Ad Nauseam podcast. This is, I believe, episode 222.
That's correct.
I'm excited to be back. It's been a while since I've been back in
A couple weeks.
in the bunker.
We did some gurgling.
Yep. But it feels great to be back down here on this beautiful sunny day. Dave,
Yeah.
how are you doing?
I'm doing real well. Yes, doing real well. Got a family wedding coming up.
That's right.
Got a lot of work going on, a lot of projects in the mix.
You were out of town for a few days?
I was out of town. I
Yeah.
was in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
At Geneva College,
Mm-hmm.
doing some ecclesiastical work with the folks.
Nice.
And very thankful for the safe travel, to and from, and met a fan at the assembly there, the General Assembly of the Orthodox Presbyterian Church, a man from California who'll get a shout out eventually.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because he said, I've been listening to the podcast and I feel like I know you guys because I listen so much. And
Yeah.
I said, well, Jeff is the Jeff's the real heart and soul of the entire enterprise.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And this is an experience I have pretty often, is that people feel some disconnect between the so-called radio personality and when they meet in person.
Yeah.
They say, you're not funny at all, right? They say that to me. This is not at all how you are on the show. I said, well, it's possible for people to act in different ways in different contexts.
There you go. Right. So it's a small taste to hear like celebrity complaints about being typecast.
That's right.
Right. And so you have this famous role, and like Henry Winkler, people met him back in the day. They say, why aren't you the Fonz? Where's the leather jacket?
Right.
They're expecting.
They're waiting for me to jump the shark, you might say.
There you go. Right.
But I'm not going to do that because it isn't the right context.
Yes. Exactly.
The absurdity and inanity, which is our hallmark.
Yes.
Maybe yours more than mine. You don't just trot it out on every occasion.
No.
And that would be, I don't know what the word is. That would be like a troglodyte.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I hope this fan was pleasantly surprised.
He liked it.
Yeah.
Great guy. And eventually we'll give him a shout out. But, I've been thinking quite a bit, Jeff, about Swiss lawn games.
This has occupied your thoughts?
It has. Croquet. Have you ever done any croqueting?
Yeah.
Where you've got the little wooden ball and then
you got to hit it through the
wicket.
Hoop. The wicket.
Yes, the sticky wicket, and you use the mallet and so forth. If I'm not mistaken, games like this developed early on from Switzerland.
Okay.
And I think it was long about the beginning of the 14th century. Maybe around 1307.
That's very specific.
Yes. When a very famous archer, William Tell. You know William Tell?
Oh, he's the guy that shut the apple up
That's correct.
The head, right?
The head of his son, because he was being intimidated by Albert of Habsburg, and there was a man named Albrecht Gessler.
Okay.
So Gessler was the tyrant, and by the way, this is covered in moss. There's a great story.
Yeah.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
I digress. And the tyrant Gessler wanted everybody to bow to his cap. He put his cap on a pike, right? A long spear, and set it up in the middle of the town.
Yeah.
When you went by, you were supposed to do obeisance to the cap.
Okay.
To show that you were down with the program.
Gotcha.
Well, Tell said, I'm not going to do that. I bow to no cap.
Yeah.
And so Gessler made him shoot an arrow off his son's head. And, of course, he had 2 arrows. And Gessler said, what's the second arrow for?
Aha.
I said, well, if I missed with the first, right, and accidentally killed my son, you're getting the second.
Yeah.
But I'd like to back up from that a little bit.
Okay.
And let the audience know, little known fact, William Tell was actually very dedicated to lawn games, Swiss lawn games.
He was.
Like bocce and so forth.
Yeah.
And one time they were, this is before he fell out with Gessler, They were there in the grass, and they were doing some of these lawn bowling kind of games,
Okay.
right? And you divide up into teams.
Right, of course.
So it was Tell and his son, and then Gessler and the Duke. It's kind of like cornhole,
Yeah.
right? Where you got teams of 2 and so forth. And in the hubbub and the joy of playing the game, there was a little bit of confusion about who was on whose team.
Okay.
And so at one point, the son said, William Tell's son said, "Dad, are you on my team or are you on Gessler's team?"
Yeah.
And Tell replied, "Ask not for whom the Tell bowls. He bowls for thee."
Oh man. Yeah, so that's where that famous quote. That's
where it comes from.
That's what. That's its origin.
It took a while, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's worth it, right?
Yeah. That was great.
Ask not for whom the Tell bowls. He bowls for thee. That's right.
I love it.
But we got a shout out, Jeff.
We do. Yes,
Why don't you
we
get
do.
us started with this.
Yes, we get this. This is from one Elisha Fowler.
I think it's Elisha.
Elisha Fowler.
I'm sure he's
Right.
had his name mispronounced before.
Right.
But that's okay.
Yes, Elisha Fowler says, "Hello, Dave and Jeff. I am a longtime listener of the podcast, and I've been listening for 2 years now. I particularly enjoyed when you went through Virgil's Aeneid. My wife and I currently live in Greenville, South Carolina. Ever been there?
I have. Yes. Let's see. On 2 occasions, and I'll be going back there next summer to Furman University.
Oh, nice. That's where Furman is.
That's
in
right.
Greenville. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. In Greenville, South Carolina, where I plan to attend Greenville Presbyterian Theological Seminary in the fall. Through your podcast, I have also started to learn Latin through Hans Orberg's Lingua Latina per se illustrata.
But, Jeff,
Yes.
he's just kind of picked it up on his own.
Oh.
He hasn't bothered to pay me the sizable fee
Okay.
to have me guide him through it.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
I'm not saying I resent that.
No, not at all.
No, or that it would be better for him to come under my tutelage.
Right. Yeah.
But I think I'm really glad that he is studying some Latin.
Yes.
This is great.
That is great.
Please
Yes,
continue.
Exactly. But he's potentially also making a terrible mistake.
Well, I'm not going to say that.
He goes on. I have a desire to learn Latin along with my seminary studies in order to enjoy many of the classics that you have discussed on the podcast, as well as many theological works that have yet to be translated into English. I think that's very admirable. 'Cause I
It
know.
is.
I mean, I'm not deeply versed in seminary offerings throughout the
Right.
decades, but I understand it'd be way back in the day.
Oh.
I think Latin was part of the curriculum,
Definitely.
right? I mean, but was one of the first to get cut.
Absolutely.
And then dwindled down to Greek and Hebrew, and in some cases today,
Not even
neither.
that.
Right?
You're right.
Right.
So, for example, in order to get into Calvin Seminary, which is right nearby here,
Yes.
to get into Calvin Seminary in the 1960s,
Yeah.
you had to have 2 years of Greek, 2 years of Latin, 2 years of Dutch. That was the entrance requirement.
gosh, really?
Just to get in.
Wow.
Now you can get out without any of those things.
Right. Yeah.
So times have changed.
Yes.
But go ahead.
Yes. And Elisha finishes up. Thank you both for the continued entertainment and education through the podcast, Elisha Fowler. And I love the
The
postscript.
PS.
This is
is great.
This is the gold. I think you should read it.
Okay,
Yeah.
he says, I think the episode More Bods Than Gods deserves more love than it has. Elisha, you are right.
Yes, he is
Here's
right.
a young man with a bright, bright future.
This kid's going places.
He understands. Remember the shampoo bit we did?
Oh, it was
in
gold.
Bods Than Gods? So there's a man who really understands.
Right. Yeah. Well, maybe Elisha will be eager to tune in when we do our episode on Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey later this summer. Yeah.
That
there we go.
could be. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've also gotten some recent correspondence suggesting that we go back and revisit the Iliad because at the very beginning we went through the Iliad in 4 episodes.
We did. It was hyperspeed.
That's correct. Because
Yeah.
we didn't know what we were doing.
Right.
We were neophytes.
Very
we
true.
took more time on the Odyssey and we took forever on the Aeneid,
That's true.
which the Maru series is almost rivaling. Right?
Yeah.
But we should go back and revisit some specifics in the Iliad.
Yeah, I think I would love to do a series that mirrors kind of what we did with the Odyssey and
Absolutely.
give it its due what it deserves.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, let's thank Elisha for being a loyal listener.
Indeed.
Thank him for writing in and telling us about his interests. Thank him for liking the More Bods Than Gods. And keep studying that Latin.
Yes.
Keep going with that. And maybe we'll sign him up, although he didn't ask for it. We'll sign him up for the Braggart giveaway, the 5 comedies of Plautus and Terence.
Oh, yes.
Let's enter him into that giveaway.
Great idea. Great idea.
All right, Jeff. So what are we talking about today?
Indeed, be a multi-part series.
Oh.
on Apollonius's Argonautica.
This is Apollonius of Rhodes?
Yes. Yep.
Would you say it's going to be a 4-part series?
Yeah, I think we're shooting for 4 parts.
Okay.
And it makes sense. It's a 4-book
Right.
epic.
Okay.
Although today I think we're going to talk a lot about who Apollonius was. I
Right.
think some of the major themes in the text, and then hopefully get into some of book 1. But as always, we got to see where we go.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So who is Apollonius and why should anybody care? I'd like to start with the quote from the Hackett translation, which is by Stanley Lombardo, and who's the co-translator?
I'm Cynthia Polesley.
Okay,
Yes.
so Lombardo and Polesley.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and the introduction was written by another scholar, fine scholar, Tara Welch. So this is from page 7 of that introduction, the title of which is "Glory Projected," and says Welch, "There once was a priceless and numinous artifact, a shimmering golden fleece hanging in an oak tree in far-off Colchis and guarded by a dragon. The fleece was the hide of a magical flying ram, the glimmering offspring of Poseidon by the Thracian princess Theophane." Now hold on there a minute,
Yeah,
Jeff.
Yes.
Poseidon is the god of the sea.
Yes.
He has relations with a princess from Thrace named Theophane,
Yeah.
and she gives birth to a ram.
A ram. Yeah.
How does this happen?
Well, I mean it's one of those weird biologies that only myth can get away with. But
Okay.
this is actually this is par for the course for Poseidon. If you
Oh.
come across like a multi-headed,
Right.
some composite beast in
That's
mythology,
right.
chances are you could trace the lineage back to Poseidon somehow.
Invariably, he's the father.
Yes.
I wonder what if anything, that says about the sea.
I think it's Poseidon as a god of not just nature, but of kind of wild, unpredictable, dangerous nature.
Chaos.
I think his offspring are meant to reflect that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Says Welch, as we continue, that ram, this is the ram with the golden fleece, would later be sent to Boeotia by the cloud goddess Nephele to rescue her children, Phrixus and his twin sister Helle, from the murderous machinations of their unhinged stepmother Ino. Just in the nick of time, the golden ram rescued the twins from slaughter. So this would be what, like an Aries ex machina?
Yeah, there we
A
go.
ram from the machine?
Exactly, right.
How
Yeah.
often does it happen in literature, Jeff, that a ram swoops in and saves everyone's bacon?
I think I can think of one example. I think
This is it.
This is right. Yeah.
Not much chance of that becoming a more common trope.
No, it does remind me of I'm forgetting the play, but there's a scene in a comedy of Aristophanes where the characters need to get to another higher plane of existence, and so
Okay.
a giant dung beetle flies down, picks them
yeah.
up, and takes them away. Why? Well, why not?
Why not? And then there's also the famous episode of Iphigenia at Aulis, where there's a deer that
yeah.
spirits Iphigenia away.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess these are the go-to animals.
I guess so. You
Okay.
got a ram, you got a deer, you got a dung beetle.
It's got to be either some kind of ruminant
yeah.
or some Egyptian dung eater.
Yeah, I think so. If we were to apply rules to it, I think
Okay.
that would have to be on the list. Yeah.
All right, so to continue on,
Mm-hmm.
just in the nick of time, the golden ram rescued the twins from slaughter and carried them on its back eastward across the sea. Okay, so that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Helle fell off and drowned along the way, giving her name to the slender gap between Europe and Asia, the Hellespont. Phrixus arrived at Colchis on the far side of the Black Sea, where he married the local princess Chalciope. Now, before we go on, here's something that I think always conflicts with modern sensibilities. At this point, he marries the princess. Okay, now this ram, right,
Yeah.
is divine offspring of Poseidon and has saved them.
Yes.
And what does he then do?
He sacrifices it.
Right.
Kills it. This is whenever I bring this detail up in
Yes.
my myth class, the students hate it.
They're shocked.
They're shocked. Like,
They
what?
gasp.
Right.
It's like killing the family dog.
Exactly. That ram should be given its own apartment.
You would think so. Get a pension, maybe.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that rams like.
Right.
The ram should have it.
But no, he sacrifices the ram to Zeus. Phrixus does.
That's right.
And then takes the magical fleece and gives that as a gift to his
Right.
new. This would be his new father-in-law.
His father-in-law,
Aeetes.
Aeetes.
Yes.
That's right. And hangs it in a tree,
Mhm.
which I never understood that detail very well either.
Yeah.
Couldn't he have taken it to, I don't know, Frames Galore or something and have it matted and
Yeah. And
put behind archival glass?
they're going to have it kind of prominently featured in
Correct.
like the vestibule.
Make it into a pair of socks or maybe a shawl.
Right.
Instead, he just drapes it on a tree branch.
Yeah, and then he puts this giant snake
Yes.
to guard it. I mean, I guess narratively speaking, I guess we would say it's kind of like a a Garden of Eden.
That's
trope,
correct.
Where it's a sacred, forbidden object.
That's right.
In the center of a garden.
And there's something apotropaic about it, right? With the snake there, it's
Absolutely.
intending to scare people off.
Right.
But it's at this juncture that I usually have one of two thoughts.
Yeah.
Either the details are so bizarre that it's true in its details, or at every point the author decided, what's the least expected thing to do? And that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Because people have a sense of shock. However, the ancients didn't seem to have a sense of shock.
Yeah.
Of course you sacrifice it.
Right.
Even though you've ridden on its back for how many thousands of miles.
Yes.
You sacrifice it.
Exactly right. And I think if we look at a comparison of the Odyssey, where there's repeated scenes of sacrifice, when you have characters that are like Nestor, who is sacrificing to Poseidon when Telemachus shows up, it's often a sign this person is doing what needs to be done.
Right.
So it's not about the life of this ram. It's about the gods allowed you to survive, and what is the greatest gift you could offer them in that moment is
something precious,
very
to you.
precious to you.
Ah,
Exactly.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So for you, it would be, I don't know, like a copy of a Dylan record, first pressing that you would have, or something.
Yeah, that would be a tough thing to give up. Absolutely. Yeah. Right.
But you'd have to, right?
Yes.
If you were a Greek hero.
Yeah.
I want to continue a little bit more with Welch because I like the way she sets up the epic starting point. It is this artifact, says Welch, that motivates the plot of the Argonautica, as its first readers referred to it. An epic poem by Apollonius of Rhodes, written around 250 BC. Apollonius was born in Alexandria in Egypt, a large and diverse city at the mouth of the Nile River. Likely a pupil of the great poet Callimachus, Apollonius became head of the Alexandrian Library, one of the great cultural institutions founded and fostered by the Ptolemaic dynasty, rulers of Hellenistic Egypt after the death of Alexander the Great.
Excellent. So there's not a ton more that we know about Apollonius.
Okay.
Virtually the only thing that survives of his literary output is the poem that we're going to be talking about in this episode and the following ones.
Right.
But according to the tradition, he also wrote other shorter poems.
Okay.
I mean, again, as was the practice of the Hellenistic poets.
That's right.
The big book, bad book kind of philosophy.
Yes.
So apparently he wrote a number of epigrams and a genre of poetry called foundation poems. He was interested in poems that kind of described the origins of Alexandria and other cities. And it will, as we get into the Argonautica, we'll see that that's a big part of his was one of his major themes. Is kind of how does this story explain what we see today?
Right.
And did grammatical and philological scholarship, as you might expect the head of the library would have done. But in terms of what survives, not much. Now, a question the audience might be thinking, okay, he's born in Alexandria. Right. He's famous for what he did in Alexandria. Why do we call him Apollonius of Rhodes?
Yes, let's get to that because that is fascinating.
Yeah, so Rhodes is an island off the coast of modern-day Turkey, and there's still some mystery about why he becomes associated with this. But one of the ideas is that late in his career, something happened. Some people speculate that the Argonautica didn't do as well as he had hoped.
Right.
And he has falling out with his peers, his betters, and he decamps to Rhodes. And there's this possible falling out that he has with Callimachus himself, right? And I believe you have this selection from H.J. Rose, which gets into this, right?
Yes, I do. So this is from H.J. Rose, a handbook of Greek literature. Longtime listeners will know this is a very convenient go-to source. All the Alexandrians, says Rose on page 317, had in common one characteristic, showing itself in a variety of forms, namely avoidance of the trite and commonplace. Hence, all alike sought restlessly for subjects either new or capable of being treated from some new angle, and all used language which, while retaining the flavor of antiquity, showed at every turn some novelty of formation, shade of meaning, or collocation. All alike were rather for polished and elegant simplicity in the matter of meter than for complications. Stanzas were rarely used when lyrical compositions were attempted, but rather those verses of solo lyric which were capable of being repeated indefinitely, while the hexameter and the elegiac couplet, both of them still further refined after the refinements of the older poet had been taken over, were not seldom used, notably by Callimachus, for passages of lyrical flavor. So, just like we saw when we dealt with Catullus, right?
Yeah.
Catullus knows poetry, and the Neoterics, they're drawing from this Hellenistic era, Callimachus, Apollonius, and the focus is on preciosity.
Yes.
I want to do one tiny little thing and do it perfectly.
Polish it.
Correct.
Yes.
So I nod to the greats of antiquity Homer, Hesiod, and the tragedians, but I have to introduce some subtle variation or refinement.
Right.
Not just imitate them wholesale.
Exactly. So even with the subject that we're talking about today, just in terms of numbers, you think about a 24-book epic like the Iliad compared to the 4 books of Apollonius' Argonautica. You can already see that paring down and polishing just by the comparison of those two numbers.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And Rose goes on to say, we are better able to estimate Callimachus's enemy than Callimachus himself, namely Apollonius of Rhodes. According to the ancient biography of this poet, he was really an Alexandrian, like you said, Jeff, and afterwards was given Rhodian citizenship during his stay in that island. He was a pupil of Callimachus. Now, Welch disagrees with this point, says, no, it's not really likely, and in fact suggests that there's this ancient pattern of calling 2 close contemporaries, one student and one teacher, in order to form a kind of chronology to make it easier to remember.
Right.
So Plato was Aristotle's teacher, Aristotle was the teacher of Alexander. So they're trying to form kind of a mnemonic chain so you can remember these things.
Yeah.
So if I understand correctly, Welch says, no, Apollonius wasn't really Callimachus' teacher.
Right.
Student.
Right.
But that's the tradition. Anyway, he wrote the first draft of his surviving work, the Argonautica, in Alexandria, but it was so complete a failure that he left the city for Rhodes, where he revised his poem into the form we have. So what we have, Jeff, for all of its whatever faults it might have or strengths, is actually the finished edition.
Yeah.
Not an early draft.
Yeah. I mean, that's fascinating. That of course, I would love to know more of the context.
Yes.
Maybe there was this big buildup and promise that this great new epic was going to drop, and the first edition just it flopped so bad that he had to leave town.
Right. They had to take it off the bookshelves.
Yeah.
Right? They couldn't give it away, you might say.
It's like, it reminds me maybe like a movie director.
Right.
A big build-up, huge budget for this.
Straight to video, as
and
we
it
used
goes
to say.
straight to video and has so much trouble finding work again.
Right.
But
we don't have that phenomenon anymore because sometimes big releases are only streamed.
That's
right?
true.
They never go into theaters. There is no straight to video.
Right.
I don't know what it would be, what the analog would be.
Yeah, good point.
Then says Rose, returning to Alexandria, Apollonius was much more successful in obtaining recognition, became librarian after Callimachus, and was buried with him. So if they were enemies, that's got to be the worst. Right, I got to be buried with this guy?
Right. Okay. Oh, that's a part of the biography that I missed. So he went to Rhodes, but then he ultimately returned.
Came back.
And finished his life and career there. Okay.
Because all roads lead from that island, you might say.
Nicely done.
Now, why was it called Rhodes? Listeners might want to know that Rhodes means red, right? Like Rhododactylos in the Homeric poems, rosy-fingered, right?
Yes, yeah.
And that's because the sunrise from Greece could be seen right on the island of Rhodes. It was in the east, Anatolia, just off the coast of Turkey. Also, it's interesting to note that Rhodes was the Roman standard for a middle-sized island, right? So when you're talking in grammatical terms, you need a preposition to go to an island or come from an island if it's larger than Rhodes.
I see.
But if it's Rhodes or smaller, you can use locatives and accusatives and ablatives, no preposition.
Yeah, it's like the bigger than a bread box.
There you go.
We're talking 20 questions.
Smaller than an elephant.
Right. Do you buy your bread that comes in? Do you buy bread that comes in boxes?
I don't know what a bread box is.
Neither do I. Exactly. I didn't know that. So Rhodes was kind of your
it's
standard.
The rule of thumb.
Gotcha.
The rule of thumb.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, then you want to take it up from page 324 of Rose because it tells us more about Apollonius's work in particular.
Rose writes, much more important is Apollonius' work, which has come down to us in its revised form. It is a deliberate challenge of Callimachus' fundamental principle that poems should be short, for it fills 4 lengthy books with its 5,835 lines. Okay, I mean, fair point, but if your comparison, if your benchmark is Homer, it's much, much shorter.
Yeah, so it seems as though Apollonius is kind of making a tentative challenge, right? He's not saying, I'm going to try to do something Homeric in proportion or even Hesiotic.
Yeah.
But I'll do something that is a nod in that direction.
Yeah.
I'll fill it out to almost 6,000 lines.
Yeah.
Can you continue, please?
Yes. The poem, moreover, has a kind of unity, for it has but one nominal subject, the journey of the Argonauts to Colchis and the return via the great rivers of Europe, partly fabulous, the mainland of northern Africa and the Mediterranean. Actually, however, it proves Callimachus' contention up to the hilt, for for it badly lacks all real unity.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
So we should kind of throw that out there. We should set that out there, I might say, for the listener to ponder. As we go through the story and we start describing the lines, we read the Greek, we read some of the Lombardo translation, is this how it affects them? Does it lack real unity?
Yeah.
Or is this older evaluation by Rose, early 20th century, is it now also dated?
Yeah.
And can Apollonius, as a storyteller, can his reputation be resurrected?
Yeah, well, I connect this with some of what Welsh talks about in her introduction, which seems to agree with this, is that one of the things that makes the Argonautica so striking is its hero, Jason, the central hero, is not really central at all.
No.
Right? And
He's so pale.
He's so pale. He's so kind of on the fringe.
Right.
He's kind of an HR manager.
Exactly.
Right.
At best.
At best. And his authority.
For all those HR managers out there, some of you are no doubt interesting, but it would be difficult to make an epic about it.
There we go. Thank you for saying.
You're welcome.
There, right. And he's constantly, Welsh points out about how Jason is constantly having his authority kind of pulled out from underneath him throughout the epic, and he's also kind of queasy about asserting that authority.
He doesn't seem to mind too much.
Right.
It's as though he likes to fade into the wallpaper, you might say.
Right. So to bring this back to Rose, is that we don't have a strong central character around which the epic orbits, like an Odysseus.
Other than Medea?
Right.
Or maybe the boat.
Yeah, maybe maybe it's unified by the boat. I mean, Medea only shows up at the end.
True.
But yeah, I think that this is a really a striking argument.
Yeah.
On the face of it, I am tempted to buy.
Okay. Eventually, we will cover in the show Euripides' Medea.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is maybe, I don't know, is maybe my favorite tragedy of them all. It's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
And in that tragedy, we see the same kind of phenomenon. Now, Euripides is before Apollonius. Apollonius, no doubt, drawing from Euripides.
Without a doubt.
But Medea is the heroine, right?
Yes.
And so the notion is, what would it look like if the Homeric ideal of a hero were a woman?
Yeah.
It would be Medea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Harm your enemies, help your friends. It just so happens Jason he's the enemy, and he's terrible.
He's terrible. I mean, Medea is terrible in her own right.
Right, but she's in the right in terms of the morality of her convictions, but she's doing terrible wrongs.
Terrible wrongs. And all of that is complicated by the fact is that she is not Greek.
Exactly.
Right? She is an outsider who it comes back with Jason to Greece, and so it's a whole other kind of layer of complexity and makes it quite interesting.
But that's for a different episode.
Yes,
we just kind of keep it in mind because it's part of this characterization of Jason as the wilting flower and Medea as the real driving force.
Right.
Though, like you said, she shows up very late.
Right.
Can you continue on with a little bit more of Rose before we move?
Yeah. Rose says, it is rather a book of excellent stories told in good verse than a regular and unified epic poem, and its merit lies in its episodes, notably in the admirable telling of the loves of Jason and Medea, which fills the third book and part of the fourth. Other passages, however, such as the fight between Polydeuces and the Troilus giant Amycos, king of the Bibriques, the loss of Hylas, and the meeting with the Hesperides, are far from worthless. So he's saying this. It's kind of a road story,
right?
And it's just kind of it's very episodic,
right?
I guess broadly speaking, that kind of resembles what happens in book 9 through 12 of the Odyssey.
Yes,
right?
But to compare the two, I mean, the Odyssey has much greater, I would say, narrative unity, has broader moral themes. It has a
thematic unity.
It has an architectonic structure stretching from book 1 to 24.
Right.
It's really not fair to compare Homer to anybody, frankly.
Again, maybe Apollonius says he's handcuffed by trying to do the Odyssey in such a comparatively small space.
Yes,
it can't be done.
Right. Says Rose, the poem is tedious only if an attempt be made to read it as one would the Iliad or Paradise Lost, read discontinuously. So I guess he's saying just read it a little bit at a time and don't look for unity.
Yeah, so don't watch the whole show, just watch the YouTube clip.
Okay.
Yeah.
So read discontinuously, says Rose. It is pleasant and not too pedantically learned. The language is founded on Homer with careful avoidance of exactly repeating any phrase of his, and often a tacit explanation of some difficult and disputed word, conveyed by placing it in such a context that its meaning cannot be mistaken. And now we're almost ready for the poem itself.
Yes.
But a little bit more, which is, where does this story appear prior to the beginning of the 3rd century, right, 280s, which is when Apollonius is writing.
Yeah, I thought this was fascinating. I think it's so easy in terms of trying to organize these myths chronologically.
Right.
We do it by their most famous versions, right? So Apollonius, 3rd century BC author.
280s.
Yeah,
270s.
280s. Homer, 8th century, 700s.
Right.
It would say, oh yeah, well those stories came first, right?
Right.
But as Welsh points out, the story of the Argo is already well known by Homer, pops up in the Iliad, in the Odyssey, pops up elsewhere.
Hesiod.
The Hesiod. And so it does seem to be a foundational myth. She suggests that there may have even been a grand epic treatment that's lost.
Exactly.
Right.
So one of the really interesting points I try to make when I teach this material to students is that there's a telescoping effect. We've talked about it before on the show, but we have to assume not every listener has listened to every episode.
Sadly.
Shame on you.
Yes.
But we are further removed from, so we are about the same remove from someone like Aquinas, right? The 1200s, 800 years. We arguably are closer to Aquinas, which seems ancient, than Apollonius was to Homer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? 5, 6, 7, 800 years. It's not a stretch. In other words, the point I'm trying to make, Apollonius has a sense of drawing on antiquity.
Yes.
Even though, as we look back, we think they're all about the same time frame.
Right. Exactly.
And it's just a strange distortion of historical thinking.
Yes, indeed. Well, let me read a little bit from Welsh's introduction. Welsh writes, "The voyage of the Argo is visible very early in the Greek literary record. It is implicit as the model for many of Odysseus' adventures, particularly Odysseus' visit with Circe. Circe, after all, is sister to King Aeetes of Colchis, and therefore Medea's aunt." Yeah, so I mean, if you've ever seen some of these,
right,
like these wall poster-sized genealogies.
Oh yeah,
how
fascinating.
Everybody's related to everybody.
Correct.
Yeah,
but some of them are necessarily contradictory because there's no specific canon.
Right.
In the sense that Apollonius will generally follow the Homeric story, but he'll change it if he wants to.
Of course.
And all the poets do that.
Right. That's malleability is baked into the cake.
Mm.
Right. Back to Welsh here. In fact, Circe mentions the Argo to Odysseus, warning him not to go the way of the clashing rocks, since only the Argo has survived that passage. This is from Odyssey, Book 12, in the Lombardo translation. The Iliad refers to a tale as well. In Iliad 7, Jason's son by Hypsipyle provides the wine for the Greek funeral celebrations. Hesiod is also aware of the myth. Theogony includes Medea's genealogy, and the catalog of women includes Jason's. And so, yeah, so already there in the earliest surviving Greek literature,
right,
the epic tale of the Argo is clearly embedded in the culture.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And then the fragments of Mimnermus, who, if I'm not mistaken, was a Spartan, archaic poet, says Welch, Mimnermus, who wrote in the mid-7th century, touches on Jason's quest to gain the fleece. But how did such disparate allusions to the Argo myth become a staple of the written epic tradition? A Jason epic that predates these sources, shared orally but never textually codified, seems a likely culprit. Such epic material must also have fed those versions of the story that appeared in the classical era. So Pindar's Pythian Ode, number 4, Herodotus's Histories, a handful of lost plays by Aeschylus, and above all, as we mentioned, Euripides' Medea.
Yeah, later on she mentions at least a couple. We know a couple titles of plays that from Aeschylus that were lost, and the titles would suggest they're embedded in that known Jason Argo epic tradition. Yeah,
it's incredible.
All right, so one more major thing before we get to the poem itself. Dave, talk a little bit about the historical context of this poem.
So my understanding is that after the so-called Greek Dark Ages, right, so you've got the fall of Troy, traditionally dated to 1187 or so, right, the end of the Mycenaean era, the Mycenaean conquest of the Minoans, but you have this 300 to 400 year period from around 1200, something like that, down to 800 or 700, in which literacy disappears, certain techniques of production disappear. Now, I understand archaeologists no longer like to call it the Dark Ages, but something different happened, right?
Right.
Between the Mycenaean palace kingdoms and what came next.
Right. It's the maybe usually more referred to these days as like the Bronze Age collapse.
Correct.
Yes.
The sea peoples, whoever they were. And you have less exotic items making it into burials. So something like an ostrich egg or elephant ivory, these things are not, or I guess iron, which could come from places like Denmark. these things are in some Mycenaean burials, which suggest lots of trade from a great distance. And then suddenly they disappear from the burials in that era,
Right.
which suggests poverty and much less travel.
Yes.
Now, as the Greeks come out of that, they begin this process called metoikesis, which is migration and colonization. And they spread pretty much all over the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
And Plato somewhere says that the Greeks sit like frogs around a pond.
Yep.
He has in mind the Black Sea. So there are Greeks living all around the rim of the Black Sea. They colonized that whole area. They also sailed west. They colonized southern Italy, Magna Graecia, all along the coast of North Africa, and as far west as Spain. And so my understanding archaeologically is that this poem, the Argonautica, and the Jason story more generally, is trying to explain or give an account of these great Greek migrations.
Right. Right. Yeah, and you can also connect that to a poem like the Odyssey as well.
Yes.
A lot of thinkers speculate that the wild tales of the monsters had their origins as seafaring tales.
That's right.
And why are those people out at sea? Well, it could be part of this grand migration and colonization.
That's right. Do you have any stories in your own life of the great road trip or some pivotal moment where you just had the sense something profound and seismic is happening in my life, right? And it's marked by this journey, this, you close the door, you look over the horizon or something, and that's a moment.
Yes, absolutely. It makes me think of this long, drawn out, wonderful, but also very difficult hiking trip I did with some college friends about 30 years ago in Yosemite.
Okay.
And it was definitely, as I look back on one of these journeys, that was a turning point for me as an individual,
right,
and for me and my friends.
Yeah. Now, you didn't maybe write an epic poem about it,
no,
but I imagine that you relive some of its events in your mind from time to time, because it marks out the shaping of your identity.
Exactly, and the tale grows taller in each telling.
Well, of course. And I would say some of the rougher edges, some of the less comfortable elements, if you're a basically happy person, those kind of...
You get sanded off.
They kind of drop out of the story.
Yes.
Because they're no longer plaguing you, as unpleasant as they were at the time. So what?
Right. No, that's very, very true.
And speaking of sanding off the rough edges,
yeah,
time for the ads.
Let's do it. This episode of Ad Nauseam is brought to you by the wonderful folks at Hackett Publishing.
Who?
Hackett Publishing. Dave,
Okay.
these guys, they've been with us since, I don't know, was it episode 4?
Are these the people who publish books that have to do with outerwear and coats and things like that?
Are you thinking about Trackett
No, I
Publishing?
said Jacket.
Jacket Publishing. Right.
Trackett is the one that sends you the book, and you keep tabs on its location, but it never
arrives. That's right.
That's Trackett Publishing.
So it's actually neither.
It's not Trackett or Jacket?
No, it's Hackett Publishing. They're their own entity.
Okay.
These guys have been with us since the beginning.
Where are they?
They are located. They have the offices in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay.
And they are one of these rare companies that is keeping the flame alive.
All right.
They have such a wonderful selection of books, a lot of them that would fall under the umbrella of the classics, but from all other kind of corners of academia. They've got great artwork. In fact, the text that we're working with for this episode has a wonderful illustration, a very telling illustration on the front is of the Argonautica. You would think that, you're going to have Jason
That's
in
right.
some kind of bare-chested pose, but
Right.
no, it is a painting of Medea.
Is it the Waterhouse Medea?
I believe so. Yes.
Yes.
And right there, it kind of tells you, asks you to contemplate, who's the real hero of the
Right.
story. It's wonderful. It's so thought out. It's well chosen. And then, not to mention the affordability, the attractive packaging, the number of different translations that you can find of the same work. They've got it all. So, listener, do yourself a favor. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you're interested in growing your own personal library. And this is a great way to do it. Go to hackettpublishing.com. That's HACKETT publishing.com. Check out their amazing selection. Find the books that you want. Drop them into the little grocery satchel. And Dave, what's our coupon code for these guys?
Yeah, it's AN and then the current year, which, if I'm not mistaken, is 2026.
That's right. So AN 2026. And that will, listener, get you 3 wonderful things that will get you 20% off your entire order, free shipping. And Dave, what is that third thing?
Let's see. 20% off the entire order.
Yep.
Free shipping.
That's right.
A feeling of ennui.
No. Not
Boredom?
No. A deep satisfaction for supporting this humble little podcast.
Okay.
Check it out.
This episode of Ad Nauseam is also brought to you by the great folks at Ratio Coffee. Based in Portland, Oregon, this is the brainchild, the brew child of Mark Helweg, the entrepreneur, American entrepreneur, who said, why is it that the coffee machine, the home coffee machine, has hardly advanced at all?
That's right.
He said, I can solve that problem. So he invented the Ratio 8, and now it has its younger brothers, the 6 and the 4. Jeff, how did you brew this morning?
I used the flagship model, my 8, which has sat on my counter for a long time.
You mean you haven't had to replace it, toss it out?
Not at all.
It's durable?
It is durable. It's beautiful. It's attractive. It's reliable. And so I get, as I usually do, get my grounds ready.
That's right.
The night before.
Stainless steel with walnut accents?
That's right. And all I have to do when I come down in the morning is hit the one button, and it cycles through its stages. You have the bloom.
Okay.
We have the off-gassing of all that nasty CO2.
Is this the Alan Bloom stage?
The
Closing of the American coffee?
There we go. Exactly.
No.
Yeah. No.
And then the brew stage?
The brew stage, where the magic happens. And then it's ready. That's all there is to it.
You pour it out?
You pour it out in that wonderful flagon, that
hulking.
The hulking flagon,
yep.
Which does not require a scorch pad underneath.
Or a Kindle brick.
Nothing like that.
There's nothing that's slowly burning the coffee.
Right.
Instead, it's in this perfectly sealed plutonium impervious flagon.
Yes.
Right? That keeps the coffee warm for hours.
Right. And maintains its wonderful taste. So yeah, I use the 8. How about yourself, Dave?
This morning was the 4.
Yep.
And I've varied my routine a little bit. For a while, I was thinking I'm going to have a steady 2 cups a day, right? Knock it off at noon. No caffeine afternoon.
Yeah.
But lately, I've been lucubrating once again.
Yes.
Burning the midnight oil.
Yeah.
So I top up with 3 to 4 cups in the morning from the Ratio 4.
Yes.
Each one perfectly delicious.
Yes. Wonderful. So, Dave, if our listeners want to take advantage of what we offer them and maybe get one of these wonderful machines, what should they do?
They need to go to Ratio Coffee, RATIO coffee.com/adnauseum. Do not forget there is a V in ad nauseum. And then after they have perused the website, found the perfect deal to up their coffee game, because after all, Jeff, you could buy a squirty plastic Dack & Blecker, Senior coffee, a Gurek kind of machine, and get okay coffee, but the thing wouldn't last and it would be hideous on your countertop.
Indeed, right. So
why not invest in something more durable?
Exactly.
So find the machine you want and then drop this coupon code into your checkout lane, so to speak, and that is AN Ratio 2026, and that will get you $20 off any machine. This is a real bargain. Please check it out.
To the poem itself then, Dave.
All right.
Let's begin, as they say, at the beginning.
Okay.
And so I'm going to ask you to read some of the opening lines in Greek. Would you do that?
I would love to. So this is book 1, there being 4 books altogether. Book 1, lines 1 through 7. And I took this from the Perseus website, tufts.edu. So I don't actually know who is the editor of this text, but I think it's quite secure. There aren't textual variations. So this is in dactylic hexameters. That is the meter of the Iliad, the Odyssey, later in Latin, the Aeneid. Here goes. Arcomonasio phoiba pelagina onclea photon, mnesomai hoi pantoia catastoma kaidia petras, ku ana as basileios ephe masune peli ao, cruce on metaco wase uzogan e lasanargo, toi engar peli e svatin ekluen hos minopisso.
Very nicely done.
Not easy.
Not easy at all.
There are some uncontracted forms here. For example, in the very first line, we have seo, which is a genitive singular of the second person pronoun.
Yeah.
And in Attic, this would be su.
Yeah.
Right? It would be contracted into an omicron upsilon. So it's a little bit challenging, even after lots of experience.
Right. Now, listeners, even those who don't know any Greek, may have recognized, of course, Argo,
Right.
kind of jumping out at them. And if you know your Greek a little better, you'll notice that Jason himself not mentioned at all.
Nope.
And in fact, the figure of Peleus is mentioned twice.
That's correct.
In these opening lines.
So Peleus is his father.
No, Aeson is Jason's father. Peleus is the usurper.
The uncle.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you for the correction.
Yeah.
You also may have heard in the first line, phoiba, which is in the masculine singular vocative, because Apollonius is addressing the opening lines, the proemium, the invocation, to Phoebus Apollo.
Right.
So just like in the first line of the Iliad, he speaks to the goddess, right? Here in the first line of the Argo, it is the god Apollo who is invoked to inspire the poetry in the author.
Right. Now, if I may for a second maybe see something that's not actually there.
Oh, please do. That's our entire job.
Right. So if we do think about Apollonius, responding to Homer in some ways, in both the Iliad and the Odyssey, the first lines involve invoking the goddess or invoking the muse, as we hear in the Odyssey. Here he invokes Phoebus, Apollo. It could Apollonius almost trying to kind of one up, whereas Homer is invoking the muses. Apollonius says, I'm going to invoke the god of those goddesses.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I think that's a good suggestion. It may also go in line with the notion of Hellenistic specificity.
True.
Where Homer is happy just saying goddess and leave it to the listener to fill in the details.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Apollonius wants to make it refined.
Yes.
It's Apollo in particular.
Yeah.
Also on that first line, he says, beginning with you, in a moment, Jeff, you can read us, please, the Lombardo translation and Polsley.
Yeah.
Beginning with you, right, I shall recount, mnesomai, the glory of the men of long ago, right?
Yes.
Palagaineon, those who were born a long time ago.
Yeah. Very good.
Can you read us some of that?
Sure. Beginning with you, Apollo, I will recall the glory of the ancient heroes who, commanded by Peleus, rode the Argo down through the Pontus and the clashing rocks in their quest for the golden fleece. I mean, I do like, for all of Rose talking about this ununified,
pedantic, so
doesn't compare very well to Homer.
Right.
In some ways, I really like how Apollonius, and this is very Callimacheian of him, gets right to the point.
Yes.
Right. And kind of sums up the whole of the epic in just a few lines. I mean, I guess the Odyssey does that too.
There is some of that. Paluchopon.
Right.
I like the mention of Pontus in the second line, right? Gives us a specific location immediately. Right? This is the Black Sea. This is the Black Sea epic. And of course, on the far eastern extreme is where he's going to get to Colchis,
right?
Which I believe today is the region of Georgia. Right?
Yes.
The nation of Georgia, and then just a little bit off to the east, butting up on Armenia. So this is exotic, but it's the place, I mean, to the Greeks, it's a long way from Athens.
Right.
But they colonized that region.
Exactly.
They sent Greeks into the forest there. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the known edge of the world, or the kind of the last outpost of their civilization to some degree. It's
Lewis,
liminal, if
it's
I
like,
may.
You may. How can we stop you? It's like Lewis and Clark a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't know if Lewis and Clark, if the canoe in which they primarily sailed, so to speak, if it had a particular name.
But
you got the character of Sacagawea, right? Who's so famous she made it onto some U.S. coinage.
That's right.
And an interesting character and a great travel story.
Great, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Very much in that vein.
A modern day Argonautica Odyssey, and I also like that Apollonius mentioned specifically the clashing rocks.
Yes.
Right. So and we'll get to this episode where these standing cliffs,
the Symplegades,
the smashing together things, and where it's a place where ships and others just simply go to be trapped and die, but the Argo slips through.
Yeah.
So he's already kind of nodding towards one of these, the most famous set pieces,
right?
And saying, "Look forward to this; it's coming up."
Right. And before, Jeff, you give us a little of the backstory for these opening lines that Apollonius just assumes that the reader would know.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out that the wonderful Hackett edition that we're using on pages 49, that's in Roman numerals, 49 and 50 of the introduction, two beautiful maps.
Oh, yes.
They're black and white, but it's so helpful if you're unfamiliar with the story to have these maps set out to show this is where the Argo sailed, there's Colchis, there's the Hellespont, so on and so forth. Really helpful.
That, for me, you put a map
I love it.
It already kind of elevates everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
But what are some of the details that Apollonius is assuming on the part of the reader?
Right. So he drops us into the middle of the tale. So let me just read a couple more lines, or 4 lines from the translation here. Pelias had heard from an oracle that a grim doom awaited him, to be murdered at the hands of a man approaching with only one sandal.
Hold on now.
Yeah.
A man approaching with only one sandal?
Yeah.
So this is the prophetic tell?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So it's one of my favorite details of the whole story. I mean, that's kind of weird.
Jason comes limping along.
Yeah.
What happened to the other sandal? Did he go to Sandal Locker and they were selling, mixed boxes? This one only has one sandal?
Exactly. You take a gamble
Okay.
at Sandal Locker and say, I want to buy this bargain box.
Right.
Hey, you might end up with 2. You might end up with one.
Or Sandal Carnival, one of those
Exactly.
places?
He spun the wheel.
That's right. So what happened? Why did he lose his sandal? Why can't the man keep track of his sandals?
So this is where we kind of need to rewind a little
Okay.
bit, right? So the very important backstory. So Pelias is Jason's uncle.
Correct.
But Jason,
Aeson, the father of Jason.
yes,
Aeson's the father.
the father,
And so this Pelias is Aeson's brother.
exactly.
He's the evil uncle.
The evil uncle, right?
Okay.
Which is a staple for a lot of Greek myths. So many of these quests are rooted in solving the fraternal rivalry, or solving it by a pile of bodies at the end of the story, right?
If you call that a solution.
So Aeson is he's the legit heir to the throne.
Okay.
Pelias usurps his brother's position and takes over. Aeson is sent to prison, but before Aeson is sent to prison, he gets Jason out of there. He wants to protect his son, and so Jason is brought away deep into the woods, where he is raised, trained by Chiron, who, as we've talked about on the show, he's kind of
a centaur.
The centaur. He's kind of the ancient Greek Yoda.
Okay.
Right. So he goes off to the planet Dagobah to be trained as a Jedi in the forest, and it's in the meantime that Pelias receives this oracle that the guy showing up with one shoe on, one shoe off, he's going to be the engineer of your own doom.
Okay.
So he's on the lookout for this. So when Jason comes of age, he emerges from the forest.
Okay.
And he crosses a river.
But they didn't have Velcro?
They did not have Velcro. This is pre-Velcro.
Okay.
Yeah, this is pre-shoelace.
PV, as
Right.
we say.
So in some tellings of the story, Hera, who has it out for Pelias. Pelias has not been attending to her honors and to her temples and to her worship, so she wants
Big mistake.
She wants revenge. Hera disguises herself as an old woman. Jason, he's a good Boy Scout.
Right.
She's being chased by centaurs through the woods, so he picks her up and carries her across this kind of raging river. And halfway across, one sandal gets stuck in the muck of the river bottom.
Hera, as the old woman, is so heavy that when he puts down one foot, the sandal won't come back with him.
No,
it gets stuck there.
Stuck in the muck. And so when he emerges on the other side,
he just kind of limps along. He doesn't. Does he notice?
I think he notices.
Okay.
But what are you going to do in the middle of the woods?
I don't know. Do you have a pair of Crocs?
I do not have a pair of Crocs.
I do not either. But I used to have those Tevas. Remember when Tevas were really popular?
Right.
Well, those were nice. Those are comfortable. Yeah. But I think if I were carrying an old woman across a river, I'd go back and pick up my sandal.
You think so?
I think so.
But even if the river is kind of raging and difficult to negotiate, I don't know. You'd go back for the shoe.
I think so. There's a Billy Joel song about this. Something about the river of,
the river of dreams.
There you go.
Is there a shoe loss in those lyrics?
There ought to be. I don't remember.
Do you
Anyway,
speaking of Crocs,
this is stream of consciousness.
Right. Nicely. Let me go down that river just a little bit more.
Okay.
Did you ever see the Mike Judge movie Idiocracy?
No.
Okay. Well, when that movie was made, like Crocs had just came out,
right?
And Mike Judge thought they were the dumbest thing he'd ever seen. So he makes this story about the future of America where everybody is an ignoramus, and everybody in the movie wears Crocs.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then of course they become actually popular.
I have to watch it
and
now.
so he did that thinking that everybody watching this is going to say, oh yeah, Crocs.
They can relate.
The dumbest thing,
right?
But then they explode.
Everybody loves them.
I know.
Nobody can relate.
I know, exactly. Right, yeah.
So Jason gets his sandal stuck in the mud while he's carrying a robust Hera across the river.
Yep.
Disguised as an old lady.
As an old woman. Yep.
And then he comes home to claim the throne, but
there's a wrinkle in the plan. So that rescue of Hera sets up an important factor, right? So Hera already has it out for Pelias because he's letting her, her rituals, die by the wayside. And then Hera being rescued by Jason. Jason doesn't know it's Hera, but that endears him to her. So he becomes kind of the locus of saying, okay, he's going to be the vehicle by which I'm going to take revenge on this guy who hasn't been honoring me. Very important for the bigger kind of divine picture.
Okay.
So he comes in back to town, and I'm paraphrasing a lot.
Okay.
But he demands the throne from Peleus, demands the release of his father. And I think we're supposed to see, this is very true of Jason. He's very naive.
Yeah.
Right? He just comes in saying, give back what my family's owed.
Right. And he expects everyone to fall in line.
Exactly. Right. And and often this happens throughout this epic is that he'll do things like that, and then it doesn't go his way, and then he kind of pouts.
Yeah.
Right. And Peleus says, "No, I'm not going to do that," but instead gets Jason to swear to go on this what he takes to be kind of the quest that he'll never return from.
To build his own lightsaber.
And he says something along the lines, well, how do I know you are who you say you are?
Right.
You need some kind of token by which you get, prove your mettle, prove your worthiness, prove your royal lineage. And gets him to swear that he'll go get the golden fleece. And my sense has always been with this story is that has almost become kind of a watchword for the fool's errand.
Oh,
it's the impossible quest.
quixotic.
Yeah, exactly right. So if you go off seriously in looking for the golden fleece,
Right.
you're never coming back.
Yeah. Go get a PhD in classics. I'd like to see you do it in 5 or 6 years. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I'll sign up.
Exactly.
Sounds great. Sleepless nights and so forth.
15 years later.
That's correct. Almost there. Almost there. If I can just get this sandal out of the mud.
Right. And so Jason, again, in his Boy Scout naivete, says, I'll do it.
Right.
And then again, once he swears to do this, he doesn't know what to do.
No, he was centaur trained.
Yes, but
Come on.
This is one of the
he
things.
had his Rocky montage. I don't know who was Stallone's trainer. Who was that old guy?
Oh yeah, I can picture him. Right.
Was it played by Burgess Meredith?
Yes, it was Burgess Meredith. Right.
But I don't know the name of the character.
I don't either. It's been so long since.
But you got to be real craggy.
You got to be craggy,
Ornery,
grumpy,
lots of raw eggs,
slouchy.
That's correct.
Right. So Jason
barely putting sentences together.
Exactly.
But that's the centaur. So Jason was well trained.
He's well trained. He's hitting those sides of beef.
That's right. He raised the X-wing fighter out of the swamp.
That's right.
On his own.
Right. In fact, I think Luke Skywalker is a good corollary. Kind of whiny.
Well, at least as played by Mark Hamill.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
If they had gotten, he's a tenor voice. If they had gotten some more impressive character,
I know
it wouldn't have seemed like Jason. But now that you mention it,
right. Exactly. I can hear Jason delivering a line like,
"That's correct.
When I was going to go get power converters," right? But this is one of the things that drives me crazy about Jason. Right? He has the Jedi training, but then where do we see it?
We don't.
Yeah. Right. And so Athena has to step in, and she kind of takes over the the guardian role. Hera kind of really disappears from
because Athena and Hera are opponents.
Yeah. Right. And Athena says, "I got it. I do this all the time."
Right.
And so she's the one who kind of starts to arrange, well, okay, Jason, you're kind of useless on your own. We're going to get the Marvel team up around you.
Okay.
And that's where the Argonauts come in. You have all of these different kind of heroics, heroes, big and small, come alongside Jason. And they're the ones who are going to actually get things done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent background. And now we're at, in the Lombardo translation, I think it's about line 16. The king, right, spotted him immediately and pondering, just like you said, devised for Jason a troublesome voyage so that he might lose his homecoming either at sea or at the hands of his enemies in a foreign land. His ship, as bards of old tell us, was built by Argus under the guidance of Pallas Athena. That woman can do everything.
She's the best.
She really can. Design ships.
Yep.
And then we get to catalog of the Argonauts.
Right.
Now, who does not love catalog poetry?
Are you a huge fan of catalog poetry?
Am.
I can take it in small
Iliad
doses.
Book 2?
Yes, exactly.
We've talked about this, Jeff. You're a big baseball fan.
I am.
Right? So catalog poetry is like thumbing through, 1,000 of the best baseball cards ever.
Oh, yeah.
Here's this character. This is what he batted in this year. Here's his height. Here's his weight. Here's the team he was on. Right?
Yeah.
You could make that into a movie.
You're right. I think you just you saved catalog poetry for me with the baseball example.
I've used it before.
Have you?
It didn't work the first time.
Well, it hooked me this time.
Okay.
So yes, this catalog.
People love statistics.
The catalog of Argonauts is very much like Book 2 of the Iliad, and this is where we get this long list of different heroes and where they're from. And as Welsh suggests, I think rightly so, just like the catalog of ships, it's a way for Apollonius to kind of give shout outs, right? And he's kind of getting all of these different kind of areas from around the landscape involved in all of these kind of these local heroes. He puts them in his poem. And as Welsh also points out, there are different versions of the Jason story that survives. And so there's not a canonical list of the Argonauts, right? So it shifts around.
That's right. He's forming the narrative. And if I can use another little analog here, which I think might be helpful. One of my kids, deep into Star Wars. Previously, maybe still, I'm not sure. Deep into Star Wars lore.
Yeah.
And so someone gave them a encyclopedia of Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
Now you would think, encyclopedia? Where's the interest, right? But not only did it have colorful pictures from the movies, but it has statistics on each one of the characters. So it occurs to me, I just test out this thesis, tell me if you think it's right, that why this is exciting is because it allows the imagination to fill in the narratives in the cracks of the facts, the details.
Yeah.
So here's Yoda, 600 years old, green, whatever, all that kind of stuff. But there's no story. It's just detail. But if you have a good imagination, then you fill in the story. You build it kind of based on your own facts.
Yeah.
I think that's what catalog poetry does.
Yeah, I'll buy that. I like that. I think that definitely is a big part of the draw of this kind of thing. Right. And this is it's a long list. We got what is it 50 Argonauts?
It's a long list.
It's a long list. Right.
And maybe we have time just to say two things about it before we wrap up.
Yeah.
I'd like to read the opening lines here. It's given this title or this headline in the translation, Catalog of the Argonauts, right? Not provided by the poet, but by the editor, which is helpful. He says, "But now I will recount the names of the Argonauts and of their ancestors, and tell of their long voyages and heroic deeds as they wandered the sea. May the muses' voices be heard in my song." Then we get the list.
Yes.
First on the list is Orpheus. Fascinating.
Yes.
But the second point I want to make is that these are all the fathers of the men who fought at Troy.
Yes. Exactly.
Like we have Telamon, who is the father of Ajax, who's very famous at Troy, and Peleus, the father of Achilles. Not to be confused with Peleus, the uncle of Jason and the villain, but Peleus, who married Thetis.
Right.
Very similar sound.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good.
So I think that sets us up for next time, Jeff. Yeah. I'm not sure where you'd like to go next, but maybe we should wrap this one up.
Yes, I think we can wrap this up. I think where I would like to jump off is that the first Argonaut named, I think, is one that is whatever kind of list of Argonauts or whatever poet you're dealing with is always part of that.
That's right.
Is Orpheus.
Right.
And
son of Apollo.
Welsh makes this very interesting suggestion, is that Apollonius deliberately, in some ways, links himself as the poet with Orpheus and gives pride of place amongst the Argonauts.
Yeah.
So we can maybe start by exploring that a bit further next time.
Yeah, in the next episode, we'll go through this catalog poetry, I think, and just pick up some highlights. There's a nice set piece at the end of book 1.
Yeah.
Then we'll go on to book 2. So we're envisioning a 4-part series on the Argonautica. There being 4 books, but we'll see what happens.
Yes. But for now, we got to get out of here.
Yes, we do. And any particular reason why?
Yes. Have you heard that racket out there?
No.
You hear these things banging?
What is that?
It's an association that wants to bring back jarts as a lawn game.
They didn't like the William Tell little bit at the beginning.
They loved the bit. They thought, but I think they thought we should have gone a little bit further.
I see.
And given them a little bit of a shout out.
Okay.
We didn't mention jarts, which is this very infamous lawn
That's
game.
right.
I don't know if the Swiss had anything to do with it.
Pointy, sharp things. Now, do they want to get in here right away, immediately, or are they very impatient, or would you say they're maybe playing the lawn game?
All right.
They can wait us out.
With that, okay, Dave, if our listeners want to learn some Latin, they want to learn some Greek, you can help them. Tell them how.
They need to go, please, to latinperdiem.com and check out my intro Latin courses that will take you ab initio, from the ground up. We use the Lingua Latina per se illustrata course, like our friend Elisha Fowler. And I like to translate Lingua Latina per se illustrata as Latin teaches itself. It's such a brilliant book. Every word in it is carefully glossed so that you can get a sense of the storyline by looking at pictures. And then in my course, you see me teaching 4 capable students. You learn from their successes. You learn from their mistakes. It is an excellent value. It's very affordable. And if you use this coupon code 10+10PLUS, you get 10% off your order. If you want to learn Greek, I have Moss Method. Takes you from
neophyte to erudite.
It was close, Winkle.
I know.
You almost missed it. If you know little Greek or no Greek, this is the course for you. And I have to say, thus far, this has been a greater success for me and my students than the Latin. The Latin hasn't really picked up a lot of steam yet, but the Greek is going really strong.
Great.
People are loving it. Some people have said, I've never found a course like this.
Great.
The combination of expertise, a little bit of hand-holding, move at your own pace, and the interesting stories, been very successful. Also, you can find that at latinpdm.com. I'd like to mention we are very close to having our Greek app released. The Moss Method for Greek Reader, MMG. So this is going to be a $1.99 download. I know Jeff's going to send it to all of his friends. What? Why are you laughing?
No, I will. I promise.
right.
I promise.
And it features a kind of Loeb Classical Library interface. So you got the Greek, you just tab, you get the English. So you can read the Greek from Moss. You can hear me reading to improve your pronunciation. Then you click over to the English and you can see the translation. Nice, idiomatic, clear. It's a good way to get your feet wet very inexpensively. $1.99 in learning some ancient Greek.
Sounds great.
That's coming very soon on both Android and Apple platforms.
Fantastic. Excellent.
We have a little bit of housekeeping to do.
Of course, we got people to thank. As always, Mishka, our wonderful engineer who always turns this around quickly and kind of polishes, talking about sanding off the rough edges.
Oh, yeah.
She does this every week, week in and week out. Jeff Sheets, he is that blistering guitarist that you hear.
Thrill Seeker at the beginning.
And then it's Rush Hour.
It's Rush Hour around the ads.
That's right.
Thank you for being so generous, Jeff, and sharing your music with us. If you want to check out some of his stuff, go to jeffsheets.com. It's spelled SCHEETZ, like the famous gas station. I don't know if it's any relationship, but there you go.
Yeah. And hey, if you want a shout out, you got a question, you got a comment, you got a suggestion, don't hesitate to get in touch. You can get in touch with Dave at adnauseam.com. Don't forget the V.
Or contact Jeff at adnauseam.com. There is a V in nauseam. Now, we have a little bit of a backlog of correspondence. I say this every time, and that's because we have a problem of some success. So it's really a challenge to keep up with all the wonderful people who write to us, but we're committed to doing that, and you will hear back from us. Rest assured, we really value your input.
Yeah, check out the podcast is home on the web, adnauseam.com. Again, don't forget the V, where you can pick up a T-shirt, you can pick up a sticker, you can pick up a hat. Show the world that you are taking in the classics and keeping them down.
That's right, and this is your last chance to be entered into the drawing for the giveaway of 5 comedies of Plautus and Terence, and you want to send an email to Dave at adnauseam.com and put in the subject line Braggart. And then on the next show, we will draw for that giveaway. You could be the winner of a fine book.
All right.
Next week, Jeff?
Next week, we are going to get dive headlong into the Argonautica. Can't wait.
All right. And I think, Jeff, you have this week our gustatory parting shot.
Yes.
Do you not?
Yes. This comes from the song Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang.
Oh, epic poets in their own right.
Exactly. These seminal figures in the history of American hip-hop.
Lay it on us.
And to go something like this. Have you ever went over to a friend's house to eat and the food just ain't no good? The macaroni's soggy, the peas are mushed, and the chicken tastes like wood.
Oh, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.